Have you ever found yourself in a conversation feeling utterly lost, as if the person across from you was speaking a different language entirely, not of words, but of unspoken intentions, hidden motives, and unexpressed emotions? It's a common, almost universal human experience, this perplexing struggle to truly grasp what lies beneath the surface of someone's demeanor, their choices, their reactions. We often encounter individuals who seem to operate on an entirely different plane of understanding, effortlessly navigating social dynamics, reading between the lines, and influencing outcomes with an almost uncanny precision. Why is it that some people possess this seemingly innate ability to perceive the subtle currents of human interaction, while many of us fumble in the dark, constantly second-guessing ourselves, misinterpreting signals, and feeling perpetually a step behind? This isn't just about awkward social encounters. It bleeds into every facet of our lives. Our relationships, our careers, our personal growth. The inability to decode human behavior leaves us vulnerable, misunderstood, and often frustrated, wondering if there's some secret manual to human interaction that everyone else received but we missed. We crave connection, understanding, and influence, yet so often these desires are thwarted by our own limitations in deciphering the intricate tapestry of human psychology. It was this very profound and persistent question, this deep-seated human predicament, that propelled an individual named Patrick King on an obsessive quest, a journey not merely of academic study, but of intense, practical exploration into the very heart of human behavior. He wasn't content with superficial observations. He saw profound, actionable understanding, a systematic way to unravel the mysteries of why people do what they do, say what they say, and ultimately feel what they feel. This journey of his, as we will uncover, offers not just insights, but a veritable blueprint for mastering the skill of understanding human behavior, transforming those perplexing encounters into moments of clarity and genuine connection. Before he embarked on this profound intellectual and experiential odyssey, Patrick King, like so many of us, navigated the social landscape with a sense of unease and a recurring feeling of being on the periphery. His early life, while not marked by overt conflict, was characterized by a pervasive sense of social awkwardness and a struggle to forge genuine, impactful connections. He often found himself observing interactions rather than actively participating in them, a quiet spectator to the intricate dance of human relationships. This wasn't merely shyness. It was a deeper frustration stemming from a fundamental inability to predict, understand, or even adequately respond to the subtle cues that seemed to flow so effortlessly between others. Conversations felt like minefields, where an innocent comment could be misconstrued, or a genuine attempt at connection could fall flat, leaving it with that all-too-familiar sting of misunderstanding. Imagine the subtle discomfort of a work meeting where the unspoken tensions between colleagues are palpable, yet you can't quite pinpoint their origin, or the casual social gathering where you feel like an alien, unable to grasp the nuances of humor or the subtle shifts in group dynamics. These weren't isolated incidents for King. They were a consistent backdrop to his social existence. This lack of fluency in the language of human behavior wasn't just a personal inconvenience. It translated into missed opportunities, fractured friendships, and a constant, gnawing feeling of being out of sync with the world around him. He yearned for a deeper engagement, a richer understanding, but felt utterly ill-equipped to achieve it. This wasn't about wanting to manipulate people. It was about the fundamental human desire to connect, to be understood, and to effectively navigate the complex social tapestry that defines our existence. The crisis point wasn't a single dramatic event, but rather a slow, accumulating weight of social anxieties and unfulfilled potential, a persistent longing to bridge the chasm between his internal world and the external social reality that often felt impenetrable. He recognized that this wasn't a flaw in others, but a deficiency in his own toolkit, a glaring gap in his understanding of the very operating system of human interaction. It was this profound realization, this deep yearning for a solution to his own pervasive social struggles, that finally propelled him beyond passive observation and into an active, relentless pursuit of mastery over human behavior. King's initial breakthrough, the first flicker of light in his quest, emerged from a focused observation of what he termed the universal tells. He realized that while words could be deceptive and conscious expressions easily manipulated, the human body and certain behavioral patterns were often far more truthful. This wasn't about grand gestures, but the micro-expressions, the subtle shifts in posture, the almost imperceptible changes in vocal tone, and consistent patterns of action that, when viewed holistically, painted a far more accurate picture of an individual's internal state. He spent countless hours in public spaces, coffee shops, parks, train stations, observing interactions, cataloging these tiny, fleeting signals. For instance, he noticed that genuine smiles, the Duchenne smiles, involved the crinkling of the eyes, a detail often absent in polite but forced social grins. This was a new discovery in the realm of psychology, but King approached it with a fresh, pragmatic lens, seeking to integrate these scientific observations into a usable framework for everyday interaction. He recounted a specific instance where he observed two colleagues discussing a project. One individual, while verbally agreeing enthusiastically, unconsciously kept their arms tightly crossed, their body angled slightly away, and their gaze frequently drifted toward the exit. King, applying his developing framework, understood that despite the verbal affirmation, there was a clear underlying resistance or discomfort. He later confirmed that this person was indeed feeling overwhelmed and secretly resentful about the project's demands. This illustrated a core principle. Incongruence between verbal and nonverbal communication is a powerful indicator of unexpressed feelings or intentions. He further explored how vocal patterns, often overlooked, could reveal stress or excitement. A sudden increase in vocal pitch or speech rate, even when discussing a neutral topic, might signal underlying anxiety or a heightened emotional state. Conversely, a prolonged, almost unnaturally low tone could suggest an attempt to exert dominance or mask insecurity. He wasn't just looking for isolated signals. He was searching for clusters of behaviors, understanding that true insight came from seeing the whole symphony of human expression, not just individual notes. He observed that people often mirror the body language of those they feel comfortable with, a subtle dance of rapport that happens below the level of conscious awareness. If someone mirrors your posture or gestures, it's often a sign that a connection is being forged, a testament to the power of subconscious alignment. This wasn't about memorizing a checklist of gestures. It was about cultivating an intuitive sensitivity to the rhythm and flow of human interaction, learning to see the world not just through words, but through the rich, silent language of the body and behavior. However, King quickly realized that while understanding these universal tells was a significant step, it wasn't the complete picture. There was a complication, a deeper layer of human behavior that often seemed to defy simple interpretation. People weren't always consistent, and sometimes their nonverbal cues seemed to contradict each other, or worse, were deliberately manipulated. This led him to his second major breakthrough, one that pushed him beyond surface-level observation into the realm of deeper psychological drivers, the understanding of core motivations and underlying needs. He found that simply observing behavior without understanding the why behind it was akin to reading a book in a foreign language without a dictionary. You could see the words, but their meaning remained elusive. This principle was illuminated through a case study he detailed involving a notoriously difficult client who consistently rejected proposals, even those that clearly benefited their company. Initially, King and his team focused on refining their presentations and arguments, assuming the client simply wasn't convinced by the technical merits. Yet, the rejections persisted, often accompanied by vague, almost dismissive feedback. It was only when King began to look beyond the surface, to consider the client's possible underlying needs and motivations, that the true picture emerged. Through subtle questioning and keen observation, he noticed the client frequently expressed concern about control and maintaining autonomy in unrelated conversations. The real issue wasn't the proposals themselves, but the client's deep-seated need to feel in control and avoid any perceived loss of authority within their organization. The proposals, no matter how advantageous, were being interpreted as an attempt to dictate terms, threatening this core need. Armed with this insight, King restructured his approach, presenting the next proposal as a collaborative effort, emphasizing the client's ultimate control over the implementation and decision-making process. The result was an immediate and enthusiastic acceptance. This revealed that understanding a person's core values, their fears, their aspirations, and their deeply held beliefs was far more powerful than merely interpreting their external signals. It meant delving into the individual's personal history, their professional context, and the subtle ways these factors shape their worldview. He also explored how different personality types, driven by distinct needs for security, belonging, recognition, or challenge, would react predictably to various situations. For instance, a person driven by a strong need for recognition might constantly seek validation, even through subtle self-promotion, while someone primarily motivated by security would prioritize stability and avoid perceived risks. This expanded his understanding, moving from simply deciphering what people were doing to genuinely comprehending what truly drove them. The grand synthesis, the unifying aha moment for Patrick King, wasn't about discovering a third independent principle, but rather profound realization that his initial observations of universal tells and his deeper understanding of core motivations weren't separate systems. They were two sides of the same coin, constantly interacting and informing each other. He recognized that human behavior, in all its complexity, is a continuous feedback loop between our internal states, our motivations, needs, and beliefs, and our external expressions, our body language, words, and actions. The true mastery lay in understanding the dynamic interplay, the constant conversation between these two dimensions. This wasn't just about reading a single tell or identifying a lone motivation. It was about seeing the entire human being as a complex, integrated system. The unifying idea that emerged was this: every observable behavior, no matter how subtle, is a direct manifestation of an underlying internal state, driven by specific, often unconscious, core motivations. The key to reading people like a book wasn't about deciphering isolated sentences, but about understanding the overarching narrative, the character's internal monologue, and how it shaped their every action and reaction. He understood that a nervous fidget, an external tell, wasn't just nervousness in a vacuum. It was a manifestation of an underlying need for security that felt threatened, or a fear of judgment stemming from a deep-seated desire for acceptance. The core insight was to stop viewing behaviors as isolated incidents, and instead see them as symptoms of deeper psychological landscapes. When someone constantly interrupts, it might not just be rude and external behavior. It could be a manifestation of an unmet need for recognition, a desperate attempt to assert their presence and value in the conversation. This revelation transformed his approach from a collection of discrete techniques into a powerful, holistic framework. It allowed him to move beyond superficial interpretations and directly into the heart of a person's true intentions and feelings, not by guessing, but by systematically observing the external feedback loop that their internal world constantly broadcasted. This grand idea fundamentally changed the way he approached every human interaction, turning ambiguous social situations into decipherable puzzles and elusive connections into tangible possibilities. Our journey through Patrick King's insights reveals a profound truth. Understanding human behavior isn't some mystical ability reserved for a select few, but a learnable, systematic skill. We've seen how starting with the observable universal tells can provide initial clues, and how delving deeper into core motivations unlocks the crucial why behind those behaviors. But the ultimate mastery, the grand synthesis, lies in recognizing that these aren't disparate pieces of a puzzle, but intricately connected elements of a continuous feedback loop between internal states and external expressions. This understanding isn't about manipulation. It's about empathy, connection, and effective communication. It's about being able to navigate the world with greater clarity, forging stronger relationships, and influencing outcomes with integrity. The blueprint, then, is clear. Observe with precision, question with curiosity, and connect the dots between what you see and what you know about fundamental human needs. Don't just hear the words. Listen to pauses, watch the eyes, and feel the underlying currents. This isn't a passive exercise. It's an active engagement with a rich tapestry of human interaction. The profound truth is that the ability to truly read people empowers you, giving you an unparalleled advantage in every area of your life. Imagine conversations you'll transform, the relationships you'll deepen, and the opportunities you'll seize simply by understanding the unspoken language of those around you. This knowledge isn't merely academic. It's transformative. It demands action, a commitment to practicing these observations, to honing your perceptual skills daily. This isn't just about watching a video. It's an invitation to embark on your own journey of mastery, to actively engage with the world in a more insightful, connected way. If you're ready to move beyond guessing and truly begin to understand the complex, fascinating individuals who populate your life, Then subscribe now. Join a community dedicated to growth, committed to seeing beyond the surface, and investing in the most powerful tool for connection, profound human understanding. This is your moment to stop wondering and start knowing.